Good evening, everyone. It is 6:32 p.m. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, October 28th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. at 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas. All agenda items are subject to action. The City of Sandy Oaks will also provide a live stream video and telephonic access to the meeting through the link and phone numbers that are provided on the agenda. The agenda can be found on the city website. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by video as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting, if providing comments in person, and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing cityclerk@cityofsandyoaks.com or by calling 210-607-0834 if speaking telephonically or by video. Written comments may be submitted to the city secretary up to 2 hours before the meeting by emailing cityclerk@cityofsandyoaks.com and will be provided to the city council for their consideration. A recording of the telephonic meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Ms. Rabe, can we get a quorum call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Fillinger,
Here.
Alderman Bricken,
Here.
Alderman Rapino,
Here.
Alderman Crickler,
Here.
and Alderwoman Puente is on her way.
Okay. I'll note when
There's
she
a quorum-
arrives.
There's a quorum present.
Thank you. Who is O?
Oh, that's just,
Oh,
I left the C off.
It's okay. Okay, please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. You ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Ms. Rabe, did we have any citizens to
No
be
one
heard?
signed up.
Okay, we will move on then. Let's go to item number 4, mayor and administrator announcements and updates. The access to the municipal building will be restricted beginning next Wednesday through Friday. And so there is a notice on the front door. We will make sure it's posted on the website and also through social media channels. There's going to be some trenching and a concrete berm that's going to be poured for our electronic gate, so we can't have any traffic coming through there. The other thing I wanted to mention has to do with, bear with me while I find her email. Had a meeting with CPS and SAWS representatives last week, and this is around the ARPA funds that we're receiving or have received actually. And we were working on how we would spend those monies. So SAWS and CPS will each send a representative here to City Hall on Thursday, November 4th. Oh, boo. We're not open. That's next week when they're doing the trenching. We could do it at the community center.
Yeah.
I'll let them know we'll do it at the community center. Okay. So they will be here to meet with the public. It says at that time, both utilities will be assisting all walk-ins and general billing questions, program enrollment, and eligible payment plans. Then after their account review, the resident will be provided a document with a total and a past due balance. And then that information, as we spoke to CPS and SAWS last week, was that they in turn will get a release from their client in order to share that information with us. We then would reimburse we would send the payment to Saws or CPS as appropriate for whatever the amount is that they're past due. Now, I do have a question for you about that. We'll talk about it later, but the logistics of how all that happens and what action we may need to take. But for now,
What days were you talking about?
Thursday, next Thursday.
Oh, okay.
And it will be, and I'll let them know, we'll reload it down to the community center. It's going to be Thursday, November 4th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, so those are the only announcements I have there. Consent agenda, number 5. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We have 2 items. Item A is approve the minutes from the October 14th regular City Council meeting. And item B is approve resolution 2021-140, canceling the November 25th, 2021 and December 23rd, 2021 regular City Council meetings.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as discussed.
A second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Fillinger to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that is 4, and 1 absent. Police Department, item item 6. A, updates and announcements from Chief Lopez with possible discussion and or action. Do you have any general announcements?
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to item B. Purchase and install a radar unit for the 2011 Tahoe unit with a cost not to exceed $2,015.
Ma'am, I'd like to amend that.
Yes, sir.
I see figures that for myself. I think the total is actually $2,065.
Well, we've got $270 and we have $1,795.
Well, plus the 250, whatever.
Wait, what 250?
Well, the unit itself, 270.
That's what I said, 270 plus the 1795.
Yeah, how much is that?
Well, add it up. You stopped me.
2,065.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I would say we approve not to exceed $2,100.
Okay, so I was gonna get a little history. I had Chief Lopez inform me that the unit was broken. So it's not repairable at the moment, right?
Correct.
So we need to replace it, but I think the intent is if the other one can be repaired for a future unit, we would go ahead and do that, but not part of this discussion.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's correct. Yeah, this,
All right.
the unit that we have, the radar system that we have in the Tahoe right now was given to us by county. And so it was, being used for a long period of time. And so it.
10 years.
infrequently here.
Yeah.
They
So
wore it out.
would you like to make a motion, sir?
Well, having heard the history, I would move that we approve purchase and install radar unit for the 2011 Tahoe unit with a cost not to exceed $2,100.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to purchase and install, yes, a radar unit for the Tahoe not to exceed $2,100. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, so that is 4, and 1 absent. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Try not to
Use
wear
it
out the
in
next
good
one.
health.
Castillo drives the Tahoe, so.
Oh, yeah. We can't do that one. What else can I do here? Hold on.
Heyday.
Yeah, we're, oh, why did I cross that out? Let's do 8A.
You're crossing me out again. Okay.
Oh, wait. Public Works, updated announcements from Park Advisory Committee Chair Tom Rapina with possible discussion and or action.
Okay, we were having trouble scheduling the Parks Committee because the election on the second scratched out our normal date. We were going to do it on the third, but the gate construction is mixing that since we can't have any vehicles driving over that entrance. And I was going to try and do it down the community center, but I couldn't get a hold of the community center chief there today. So I just scheduled it on the 9th of November. So we're going to have that, and pretty much the same things that we were discussing at the last meeting, the painting of the planks for the seats behind the backstop, the things at the community center,
The events.
the events, and also the what else was there?
I
Oh, the
understand the
refrigerator.
refrigerator's coming.
The refrigerator, I
I
sent-
emailed him, letting him know if he wants to do it, an invoice us or do it off the credit card over the phone. So
Okay,
I'm waiting
'cause-
to hear back from him.
perfect.
Now,
Yeah.
where
And
do
then I told Gloria that I would let her know when it could be delivered.
Where did we
Coming
find
from
it?
Austin.
Found it here in town.
Ace
Well,
Smart.
I take that back. A Smart here in town, we're ordering it through them. It's at their Austin location.
Okay,
And they're only gonna charge us $175 for
To
shipping,
deliver.
delivery and setup.
okay, good.
It's all a good deal.
So there's some of the things that were on the agenda, and I encourage people if they have other items they want to put on there, always to get a hold of Charlotte there and put it on there. So we will have the next meeting on the 9th.
Okay. And she had told me 9A and I crossed out 8A, so it was an honest mistake.
All right.
It was your other agenda item.
My other agenda. Oh, yeah,
So since we're
TMR.
talking about
The
that,
TMR.
item 9A, we're gonna go ahead and pull that one from this agenda. And let's go ahead and talk about item 9D, discuss and or possible action on mail out regarding the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So you each should have these legal size pages here. Staples. So again, we had been working, Megan Cordova and I had been working on this profile. And what we're doing is there are some specific programs that we can spend the ARPA funds on. But there are other programs that if we knew who the target audience was, we could also engage them in those programs. So this survey is going to be twofold. It's going to identify for the ARPA specifically, but also identify, and it's all self-identification. There's nothing that's requiring anybody to fill any of this out. They may pick and choose what they want to answer, and that's perfectly fine. It's our effort to kind of get the information in front of them.
How are they gonna get it back to us?
It says on here,
Mail
mail it or
back.
drop it off. And my thought was, Charlotte, that they could either bring it in or they could put it in the secure slot
Yeah.
out front.
Yeah.
Either one would work.
Why don't we give them an envelope,
To mail it back?
prepaid or whatever we do? This is being paid for out of the money, right?
Yes.
Not out of our money.
It's out of the ARPA funds that we have.
Okay,
yes.
so why don't we give them an envelope so they can put it in their mailbox?
Well, let's say that we send out 1,556 of these
You know,
and 700 of them come back. We've
Okay.
wasted postage on 800 and something.
but you only paid it on if it came back.
If we had a permit for that, we don't.
Wouldn't it be easier just to get a permit?
No,
I think you're hamstringing a lot of people.
So.
Why?
Gotcha.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
647.
Jennifer
Dropping
said
it off
about
here.
the time.
This isn't exactly a central location, to anything, number one. And number two, if it's on weekends when they have the time, where they're gonna put it. And you can bet if it's gonna cost them 55 cents to tell us, they're not gonna say a word, okay?
Well, if it could save them hundreds of dollars, I think they would spend the 55 cent investment.
When you say we're not central to anything, we're almost dead center to the freeway entrance. I don't know how much more central we could get.
Let's see, take a map of Sandy Oaks and put where this building is. How central is that to the people down on Star?
Do they come up here and get on the freeway? Do they come to Dollar General? Do they
Okay.
come to the Valero?
You know as well as I do.
Well, no, I
It's gonna
don't.
hamstring them.
Well, and we'll take a look at that, and if we don't get a good response, we'll figure something else out. But I don't see how we could justify spending.
If they want a stamped envelope, I'm sure they'll let us know on next door.
Well, no. So let's talk about that. So in here, what we could say is, or they could call City Hall and have somebody come by and pick it up. That's another option.
That would work.
Yes, that is an option, or maybe another option is that they can drop them in the, give them a warning, they can put them in his outgoing, or some spot there, dropped off at one of the buildings, one of the businesses, or something like that.
Well, you're not gonna want to do that. There's some personal, there's
Yeah.
stuff you're not gonna want people to know. But what we're saying is outside the building, we have a secure drop box at the stairs. And they can just come in and put it there, or they can walk in and hand it.
On Saturday and Sunday
No,
in the evening.
We'll put a
I agree with you. We
Dropbox
can
out
put
by
in
the
there, if you
fence.
can't, we call and
Eh,
somebody will come by and pick
exactly.
it up.
That's what I'm thinking is
Yeah.
we add that.
What's that?
That if they, another option is call City Hall if you need somebody to come pick it up.
Okay.
Okay, so I will make that change.
This should be presented as a help us help you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Because I did not have a heading for this, so yes, I will put up here, help us, help you.
I mean, that.
How's that?
That's, because I really don't care how many kids you have.
Right,
uh, But if we know how many kids you have, we can make provision for the champion program and other things.
yeah.
There are a
I don't
number-
care how much rent you pay,
I
but
don't,
if we need to assist with rent, we need to know these things.
well, and you'll notice down here under additional information, I've added 3 additional items down here. One of them is, does anyone in the household, no, that's not it. Oh, it didn't print. There were 3 additional items added on there. One of them has to do with, does anyone in the household suffer from substance abuse? The third one, the next one is, does anyone in the household suffer from alcohol abuse? And the third one had to do with domestic violence. And so the reason I wanted to put those on there is Bear County just received a settlement on the opioid case that they won. And they're receiving, I think it's over $12 million. And not all of that is going into programs, but when Bear County or CPS or any of these other organizations reach out to us and say, hey, we have this program.
Yeah.
We now will know who we need to contact. That's the whole point of this.
Exactly.
Yes, and it will go into a database. It will be secure for those who have a need to know, and will be very sensitive to their personal information. But I do need to make sure these add the 3 additional fields.
None of my neighbors suffer from alcohol abuse. They enjoy it.
Another option is I could have them call police chief and send an officer over.
Yeah, that ought to be popular.
Okay.
Hickory Shadow's always busy.
Yeah. Hey, watch it.
Mayor, do those come back anonymous or do they come back?
No, because it does have, it's a place for their name, the head of household to fill that out. We have to have an address.
I guess I'm just wondering about the substance abuse and alcohol abuse, whether that is,
And again, they don't have to identify.
okay.
I mean, there's probably a lot of this stuff that they won't even check
Put it
off. And to be honest, I was a little leery about putting it on there myself, especially the alcohol, the drugs and the domestic abuse, because people just may not want to reveal that. But then there may be somebody that's like, if I could ever get some help, I might do something. And that would be available.
I think you're gonna find we don't have a drinker in the city.
So the last page here is assistance for the various programs. So we're talking about Be a Champion, what's required for that, when they're doing the distributions. We have CPS and their plan for helping with getting people caught up. And I will tell you that number one, from both CPS and SAWS, one of the very first qualifications for ARPA funding is you have to be on a payment plan. It's a requirement. So they can't just come in and say, I'm behind. They actually have to sign up through the providers for that. So we have CPS, we have SAWS. I added something in here about ViaLink. Still trying to promote that. And the Bear County Economic and Community, there are still temporary rent assistance programs out there. I did hear back from the county. They also have, they have joined forces with San Antonio. So it's a single program now instead of a Bear County and a San Antonio. And then I know I told you that we would have 2/3 of a page remaining for additional items. One thing that I'd like to put on there is the emergency broadband benefit. This is the one that AT&T has signed up for. And basically it takes $50 off your internet bill if you qualify. Most everybody out here that has children will qualify because one of them is the free lunch program, and Southside, all students at Southside get that. So everybody who has children in school pretty much qualifies. If you are receiving Social Security, if you are on disability, if you have other government assistance programs, you qualify. It's a very widely qualifiable program.
But it only applies to AT&T customers.
For this one, yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're not an AT&T customer and you want to be an AT&T customer, you could sign up for it. And it gives you $50 off on your internet bill. I did talk with Alamo
Where do we
Broadband.
sign up on that?
But I will put it on the newsletter
Okay.
and
I'm
you'll have
ready.
it. And I did post it on Nextdoor, so that information is out
You
there.
talk to Alamo Brothers?
I did talk to Alamo Broadband and encouraged him to sign up for EBB because
We have-
he
that's
has
what
a
I
lot of customers out here and they could benefit from that as well. Is there anything else that you guys would like to include? Any other benefit program or something that's helpful for the community, or will that be enough? Well, I'm gonna-
If this is going to every household, we might include the monthly pet shop,
Oh.
pet shots and
Community,
chipping.
the community
Market
microchip,
That'd be Penny Paws.
yeah, microchip, penny paws,
And the community yard sale.
and the yard sale. That's true. Thank you. And then the EBB.
Does the city have a resource for any, for mental health? Do we know?
The city does not, but that definitely falls under ARPA. And the county does. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't do something as well, but we're probably going to leverage existing resources out there. And that
If there's like a resource that the county's offering for mental health.
Yeah.
I think that might be good too.
Thank you. I will add. So just what I'm,
I'll sign up for that
Yeah, I'll be
too.
the first one in line.
take a number. Okay, so I'll have to tweak this form a little bit here.
And when you let go out,
As soon as I get the final, I thought this was the
within a
final.
week or so, right?
I'll get it to the printer by Monday. He'll have it and he has the mail list and then it's just a matter of getting it done. My original plan, my original thought was to have a, pretty much a little booklet that you would open like this. So you'd have the cover letter on the front, the form on the next page so that it could be separated. But then I thought, let's not do that. Okay, if y'all think of anything else, let me know, because I'd like to be as, you know, as much information as we can, since we don't do these mail outs very often. Okay, we will now move to item number 9C. Discuss and or possible action approving a franchise agreement for the collection, hauling, and disposal of municipal solid waste and construction and demolition waste with Waste Connections of Texas LLC. And we have in our midst today, Mr. Ryan Schuyler, who is from Waste Connections. You've met everybody here except this is Alderwoman Puente.
Pleased to
Hi,
meet you.
nice to meet
And
you.
you each should have a red line version of the contract. And I apologize, miscommunication on my part. You did not have it sooner. But I do have a question for Ms. Ortiz. On the cover, the word exclusive has been crossed out. Is there a reason for that?
Just because if the city would ever contract with any other solid waste provider in the future. If, I know that probably wasn't the plan, but it just leaves it open for the city to contract with someone who may do other commercial businesses. So that's why that was crossed out.
I'd rather have the word exclusive in there.
I would too.
Because that's the intent, is not to have multiple heavy vehicles,
Right.
you know, on our highways and byways. So
Is that okay to add it back in?
Of course,
Okay,
that's it.
so we will leave in the word exclusive.
if we have to hire somebody else, we need to fire them first. I
Go through the formal channels.
mean,
So this will be effective January 1st of 2022. And we will strike exclusive there, and that's where the non-exclusive, so in the first paragraph, strike out non. And same thing within the first whereas. We will continue to make it exclusive.
And just, I guess for the purposes of the rest of the contract, there, anywhere it's exclusive or a paragraph regarding the
You'll just-
exclusivity, I'll just.
Perfect.
just-
Okay. So then we go through defined terms, and I do want to kind of read through that because that's kind of important for everybody. So business day, and I know there was a question, and I'll ask Ryan about that. Business day is defined as any day that is not a Saturday, a Sunday, or any other day on which banks are required or authorized by law to be closed by the city. Commercial unit is any non-manufacturing commercial facility that generates and accumulates municipal solid waste or construction and demolition waste during or as a result of its business, including but not limited to restaurants, stores, warehouses, factories, malls, schools, hospitals, healthcare facilities, and sports facilities or complexes. Construction and demolition waste, solid waste resulting from construction or demolition activities, or that is directly or indirectly the byproduct of such activities, including but not limited to cartons, concrete, excelsior, gypsum board, metal, paper, plastic, rubber, and wood products. Construction and demolition waste does not include excluded waste or municipal solid waste. Container. any receptacle, including but not limited to dumpsters, roll-offs, solid waste rollouts, and recyclable material rollouts, whether utilized by a residential, commercial, industrial, municipal, or other application for collecting municipal solid waste or construction and demolition waste. Curbside brush. All tree trimmings, grass cuttings, plants, weeds, leaves, dead trees, or branches thereof, sawdust, limbs less than 3 inches in diameter, brush or clippings, and includes bundles. I would like to clarify with Mr. Schuyler, dead trees. You got a certain size? It's my 80-foot pine that's about to fall down. Will you pick it up?
So, it actually, I admit, it's kind of ambiguous because on curbside bulk, it actually does specify length, but in curbside brush, it does not.
So should we modify the
I
definition?
agree, it should have some kind of specification.
Because it says dead trees and that,
You're right, you're 100% right. I would like it probably to mirror what curbside bulk is saying.
okay,
We could even do 60 inches, that's 5 foot in length. But I agree, we should set some kind of limitation in there.
okay, so dead trees. Now you do have in here limbs less than 3 inches.
And that's specifically in there to ensure that they're cut up and we're not picking up gigantic logs or stumps.
How about this? How about we just strike dead trees?
We could do that.
Yeah. It's probably easier. So we'll strike dead trees and or, the word
Dead
or,
trees and oars.
yeah. So we will,
Branches thereof, sawdust limbs less than 3 inches in diameter. What's the maximum length?
oh, yeah,
60 inches?
Yeah, I suggested 60 inches,
okay,
5 foot.
not to exceed.
And any revision will obviously. include that.
Exactly. Yeah,
From there.
she's probably over there typing away as we're talking. Okay, curbside bulk, any item measuring in excess of either 48 inches in length or 60 pounds in weight, including but not limited to chairs, couches, and other similar household items. Curbside bulk items must not exceed 100 pounds per item. Okay, that's contradictory
Yeah.
to the 60 pounds above.
Also contradictory to our refrigerator.
And includes white goods. And just while we're there, white goods is any item not measuring in excess of either 3 cubic feet in size or 50 pounds in weight, and that is manufactured primarily from metal, including but not limited to a bathtub, heater, hot water heater, refrigerator, sink, or washer and dryer.
What's a refrigerator? What's it say about the weight?
50 pounds.
You ever seen a 50-pound refrigerator?
No, are you going with 100 pounds for the white goods, right?
Now, 50 on the white goods. We should probably change that to 100.
We'll just, I included the white goods with the curbside bulk because white goods was defined, but it was not included anywhere within the contract. So I didn't know whether it was included with the curbside bulk. So that may be,
It is,
Okay.
yes. It is.
But I would, so 2 things. Under white goods, let's change 50 pounds to 100 pounds. And I don't even know if that,
We're not gonna weigh.
Okay,
We're just gonna
but I
do
don't
that.
know that a
Oh, there.
refrigerator or, I mean,
The only specification about refrigerators, and
they have to be tagged.
correct, they have to be drained of the refrigerant.
Is that referenced in the contract anywhere
I-
or on your website or,
You're not gonna get compliance from our citizens on that.
well, they're not going to get it picked up.
I
because it's not a
guess
complaint.
it's kind of.
It's an
generally-
environmental.
I understand.
It's generally included under excluded waste because it just, but it's super general. It just says no corrosive, flammable, toxic material. But which technically covers a refrigerator.
I'm gonna stop you just a minute.
Okay.
EPA regulation says you cannot pick up a refrigerator that's not tagged,
Correct.
That's not what?
Tagged.
tagged.
Oh.
So, you know,
As long as the customers know that.
we should probably when people sign up, you need to send them a welcome to the family. Don't put any refrigerator that's not been,
But not just
Yeah.
refrigerators,
Does-
air
Well,
conditioning units.
yeah,
Stuff like that.
anything with the
What is
refrigerant
tagged?
has to have the
They have to
refrigerant
drain.
removed.
They
It
tag it.
it has to be, it has to be properly
Exposed, yeah.
vacuumed and then they tag it that it's been
So
properly.
there's a legitimate person that receives that tag.
The unit itself is tagged.
I know, does it require an authority, somebody that knows?
And
what
that's, yes, you have to use a technician that is EPA certified to handle refrigerants.
Right, you can't just release it into the atmosphere.
Oh,
and
no.
Say it's tagged.
You can if you want to pay $20,000 per incident.
Yeah,
How many refrigerators have we had on the curb in the past?
not many.
Well, we get them, but we have scrap dealers that pick them up.
Yeah. there's
Yeah.
that.
The scrap dealers. Yeah, the metal places. full of
Right.
people.
And we do have that, Ryan, just so you know, ahead of bulk pickup. We have people who travel through the city and they scavenge
Sticking
through.
through it.
Yeah,
Who charge you?
Like you and I were talking about earlier, obviously before any bulk or brush cleanup, we're gonna communicate as much information out to the public as possible.
Right.
To, prevent, these kind of instances happening. with refrigerators
Exactly.
and things like that.
Yeah, our first bulk pickup, less than half of them got picked up.
it was
Uh,
a fun time.
I'm sure.
So
Okay, so let's go back to curbside bulk. So in here, it says any item measuring in excess of either 48 inches in length or 60 pounds in weight. I'm gonna say that we change that 60 to 100 because within the same paragraph, it says must not exceed 100 pounds and includes white goods. And then on white goods, since we're talking about that, we need to strike the weight,
well, I'm kind of confused.
okay?
Any item measuring in excess of 48 inches in length or 60 pounds in weight or 100 pounds in weight, including but not limited to chairs, couches, and other similar household goods. Why does it have to be in excess of 48 inches? I'm just
Oh,
saying,
not in excess, it should probably read not to exceed.
I think that's,
you can't get a couch that's
Well,
not
that's-
going to exceed 48 inches.
Well, and there's that, but because couches, no,
But
they're
if I
curbside bulk.
if I need to get rid of my large Coleman cooler,
Mhm.
it's not 48 inches long, but it won't fit in my trash can. So, I'm gonna rely on bulk pickup to pick it up, even though it's only 38 inches long.
Is
I
there,
just-
is there a concern with the length or should we maybe focus on the cubic yards?
definitely the cubic yards will be the limitation at each house, so, but, you got a long love seat that's from here to there.
Mhm.
Yeah, is the rear load gonna eat that? Loves it, of course, it'll chop it into little pieces.
Yeah,
But that could be their limit right there. That could be
right.
3
That could
yards.
be that could be their one item.
Exactly.
On the
Yeah.
white
speak up.
goods,
Mhm.
it should be added, I think, something to the effect of, they have to be scrapped and blah, 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 and otherwise compliant with federal law. To cover the Freon problem. There's a lot of people that throw out old window air conditioners and stuff like that. Technically, they have to be drained.
So just add a comment at the end, any refrigerant must be,
Removed.
It's removed in
Well-
compliance with US blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
EPA regulations.
And we do include that clause in hazardous waste as well. And exclude waste that we have to comply with.
Yep.
oh, here we go. Okay.
regulations.
So, Ms. Ortiz, would we reference the hazardous waste piece back to the white goods? Or do we need to add additional verbiage in white goods?
You can include white goods, does not include hazardous waste,
Um,
or white goods must be disposed pursuant to EPA. That may be clearer for.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a notation that we need to expand on this definition here.
Of white goods?
Yeah, for white goods. And Ryan, between yourself, myself, and the attorney, we'll get the specific wording down. Okay. And I apologize. I need to make mention that Ms. Puente did join us.
Yeah, it was at,
6:47.
6:47, thank you. Somebody needs to. Okay, let's move on to curbside bulk. We talked about that. We're changing the 60 pounds to 100 pounds for curbside bulk. Yes or no?
yes,
Okay. All right. Customer, any person, entity, organization, or the like receiving services or required to receive services pursuant to this agreement. And then excluded waste, any hazardous waste, and any radioactive, volatile, corrosive, highly flammable, explosive, biomedical, infectious, biohazardous, or toxic material as defined by applicable federal, state, or local laws or regulations. Hazardous waste, waste identified or listed as a hazardous waste by the administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, under the Federal Solid Waste Disposal Act as amended by the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act of 1976, as amended or so classified by any applicable federal or state statute, rule, order, or regulation. Holidays. Following holidays are New Year's Day, January 1st, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day, December 25th. Industrial unit, any manufacturing or agricultural facility that generates and accumulates municipal solid waste or construction and demolition waste during or as a result of its operations. Landfill, any facility or area of land lawfully receiving municipal solid waste or construction and demolition waste for disposal. Municipal facilities, only those specific municipal locations as set forth in this agreement and in Exhibit B attached hereto and incorporated into this agreement. I do not recall an Exhibit B, but I do recall an Exhibit A, but we will provide that for,
Yeah, there's no exhibit B, but there was a route map.
ah,
So I thought that could possibly be exhibit B once it was finalized.
we could do that, or I think I've mentioned to you what the two locations are, but I'll make sure that those addresses, we'll put it on an Exhibit B. Yeah.
you're
Okay.
gonna be on the route map, that's exhibit B.
No, she's just saying it was on there and that probably could be that, but I'll make sure there's a separate Exhibit B that will specifically identify our municipal locations. Multifamily residential unit is any residential dwelling that is designed for and inhabited by multiple family units and that generates and accumulates municipal solid waste. And municipal solid waste is solid waste resulting from or incidental to municipal, community, commercial, institutional, or recreational activities or manufacturing, mining, or agricultural operations. Municipal solid waste does not include construction and demolition waste or excluded waste. Recyclable materials, any non-contaminated materials which may include but may not be limited to paper, cardboard, plastics, textiles, and wood. I don't see glass in here. Are we adding glass?
Yeah, no, glass is not excluded. so-
Okay, so let's put glass on here.
Here, there's a market for glass now. If we could just get those ships to go back.
Recyclable, recyclable materials does not include municipal solid waste, construction and demolition waste, or excluded waste. Residential unit is any residential dwelling that is either a single-family residential unit or a multifamily residential unit. A roll-off is a container with 30 cubic yards of capacity. A solid waste rollout, a container with 95 gallons of capacity. So those are your carts. Recyclable materials rollout, a container with 95-gallon capacity. Again, your carts that you typically have. Single-family residential, any residential unit that is designed for and inhabited by a single person or family unit and that generates and accumulates municipal solid waste. Solid waste is defined by the EPA under 40 CFR section 261.2A1 or by applicable state laws, including without limitation, any such waste that is mixed with or that constitutes recyclable materials. And then,
What are they called, those animals that they have the trucks with the forks?
those are called dumpsters.
They pick up the dumpsters.
I haven't heard you address those yet.
The front load trucks?
He's talking about the units themselves, the containers,
Oh, they're front load dumpsters.
but they're not in here. There's no definition in here for that.
People who have them,
No, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
That's probably why it's not in there.
No, it's in just,
Under container, it does say any receptacle, including but not limited.
Oh, it
to
does, yeah.
Dumpsters, roll-offs, and other things, but yeah, it
Dumpsters.
doesn't specifically.
okay.
yeah, it's
Say
not,
that.
it's not a separate definition. Okay. Okay, so anywhere it says exclusive will be included. Brian, did you have any issues with section 2 on the red line version? Other than the non-exclusive and exclusive references?
I do not, but I'm gonna let our legal department review it and tell me
Okay.
if they have any objections.
This is just legalese here. Okay, so one of the questions when we get in here to the operations, and I don't believe it's on this particular page. So the scope of operations, the service provider will collect, haul, and dispose of all municipal solid waste, curbside brush, curbside bulk, construction and demolition waste, and recyclable materials as provided herein. Number 1, generated and accumulated by commercial, industrial, and residential units and municipal facilities. Number 2, placed within containers by those commercial, industrial, and residential units and municipal facilities. Receiving the services of the service provider, or otherwise generated and accumulated by those commercial, industrial, and residential units and municipal facilities, all within the city's corporate limits, including any territories annexed by the city during the term of this agreement. Okay. I don't see anything here. Okay. Single-family residential unit collection. Each single-family residential unit is responsible for contacting the service provider directly to initiate services, change services, or cancel services. Participating single-family residential units will be provided both solid waste rollout and recyclable material rollout approximately 1 week prior to the commencement of the services under this agreement. So you and I talked about this. So the expectation that we've kind of set with the community is if you currently have service with Tiger, Tiger's going to come take their units, Waste Management's going to replace those units. So there's not a need necessarily for a customer, you know, like we're not wiping the slate clean and starting over.
Yes, so we'll definitely provide all the rollouts to that customer list with the addresses.
Mhm.
That's done.
Okay,
That will be done. but the actual setting up an account and billing information and all
Oh,
that,
you need all that from them?
that it'll be contingent on them because Tiger, that's Tiger's accounts, that's Tiger's billing, that's Tiger's customer information.
Right.
So we're gonna have to, that was kind of like how you and I were discussing, like, should we send out messages, like a joint message between
Mhm.
us and the city as soon as possible, being like, please contact us to get ready for January 1st, 2022.
Yeah.
You know, the carts will be.
Just to set up your account.
Yeah, and we can continually push that message in the months prior to starting on January 1st.
Yeah.
That should maybe be on the, in our mail out also.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll participate as much as you
More paper.
want.
Okay, so, I'll put on here waste connections. So what Ryan is referencing is he and I spoke earlier about a couple of logistical things, one of them being a mail out. He has the customer list that Tiger provided it to me. I in turn shared it with him. I had to go through and scrub it because there were some locations in there that are not part of Sandy Oaks. So those have been excluded. And then,
I hope Tiger doesn't cut them off.
well, I did tell Tiger that I was removing those and that they're their customers, so we're not gonna be converting them. But I suggested to Ryan that perhaps we send out a joint correspondence. So it would be signed off by the city and by Waste Connections, identifying kind of what's happening. So we can certainly do that.
It's gonna be a mail out.
It's gonna be a direct mail to,
Who pays for it?
Yeah, we'll
They're paying
definitely
for that.
cover the cost of that. And if folks haven't signed up by the time we deliver the carts out,
mhm,
we're also gonna have that message slapped right on the lid of every cart.
there you go.
So if they haven't contacted us, it's gonna be right there to please call us as soon as possible. if you haven't
Exactly,
Signed up.
Is there
exactly.
an estimated or a date that we would have our carts?
So this says 1 week. My, the production company who's producing the carts, they're called Sierra Carts. He's estimating that they'll be ready sometime in early December. He couldn't give me an exact lead time yet. So I'm gonna assume it's sometime mid-December at that point.
So here's the challenge. December 30th is the day that Tiger will be making their last pickup and collecting their carts. If you want to do it a week ahead of that, that's day before Christmas Eve. And what's going to happen, and I mean, for the citizens, it's
gonna get
maybe not a bad deal with
You're gonna get
Christmas.
confused.
Well, no,
though.
they're
Well-
gonna have 4 carts to fill, is basically what they're gonna
there
have.
goes.
But my concern is we might get some squawking from people about, I got 4 carts, where, they're in my way.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it
it's what we gotta do.
it
Live
might
with
just,
it for a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's not
it-
like a month,
Right.
I'd rather them have the carts than not have.
And the benefit
carts.
is they have 4
Yes.
carts to fill up with all their Christmas trash.
Yeah,
So
so
there you
we'll be
go.
full and Tigers. will
And
be
it's,
full.
everybody gets to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
How many carts are you ordering?
Every house will get 1.
Well,
trash
hold
cart,
on.
1 recycle cart.
I have a list
Are they
here.
made in America?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Well, that'll just help with the,
They're not.
they'll come on
Argentine.
time
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
Okay.
If they're outside the country, I don't even know if they get here. in time. No.
How
Right now,
soon can people start signing up?
Yes.
they can,
So folks can sign up as soon as the contract's executed.
okay,
So hopefully as soon as possible.
within days,
Yeah.
my expectation. So when we're talking, you asked about how many carts. This summary list here, and I think everybody has this. This came from the scrubbed list from Tiger. And this identifies the type of service that they currently have.
Mhm.
So when you're talking 95 gallon residential, 1,175 in the city.
It must be double that.
Well, now we have recyclables, and apparently not everybody has.
Yeah, not everybody has recycling.
Yeah, some people didn't want a recycle bin. So there you go, about
That-
roughly
I didn't know we had a
1,200.
choice.
So it's 2,200.
No. Oh, for total,
Yes.
yes, about
Yeah.
2,200.
Yeah,
Probably
unless,
went more than
unless they
that.
don't want recycled
Right.
services, that'll be less than that.
Okay. Okay, so back to this. So what's important in section 4 here of the single-family residential unit collections, they're the only option for a residential customer is a rollout cart. That's it. There will be no dumpsters at
Okay.
residences.
There will be no additional owners for private trash can. right?
No.
They have to get another
No.
card if they need more trash.
Yes,
For $7.
yeah, so that's because they're bringing a side loader truck that, you
I
know,
understand. I
yes.
think Tiger gave that up as well. so
I think, yeah, I
Will
think
will
so.
residential
Side load either.
customers have the option of having another company bring a
Nope.
She
dumpster?
didn't pick up a new
Nope.
one.
You're gonna hurt a lot of businesses.
This is
What
residential.
businesses? We're talking residential.
Right, which is traditionally in this country, it's been a growing fad of what they call cottage industries, and we have a lot of them in here.
Mhm.
Or people who are not working in the city, but they're contractors, and they bring in stuff, all kinds of things from carpets to.
Well, okay, I understand what you're saying. I have a question for you. How many roll-out carts equal a 4-yard container?
So let's say in a 2-yard container, it's 96 gallons, so each one's roughly half a yard. So there's 4 carts in a 2-yard dumpster. In
Yeah.
a 4-yard, there's 8 carts roughly. in a
Okay,
4-yard
So if
dumpster.
you really need a 4-yard dumpster, for $28 a month more, you can have additional carts.
Yes, but in a 4-yard dumpster, is that what he said, 4 yards?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, these guys work for a living, okay, and they're taxpayers. And they can throw a door in there, okay? A damaged door. Ever try to take a door in a trash can? You know,
but that is not municipal waste.
no.
A
but
door is not a
I'm talking
municipal
about
waste.
the dumpsters,
No, I understand that.
right, but
Okay.
you couldn't put the waste that they have in these trash cans. It's just not possible. If they had 4 trash cans, if they had 40 of them.
Then they would have to use a roll-off service. They would have to make arrangements for a roll-off to be delivered for their industrial and commercial waste. That's what it is. It's not household waste.
Right now, we have people in the city who have a lot of those dumpsters.
Right.
And they have them up on their property, okay? What is the problem with that?
Because first of all, you said a lot of them are on their property, and I will dispute that fact with you.
Yeah.
That is not the case at all.
Well,
And hold on. First of all, I want to tell you how many we're talking about. We have 66 2-yard, 19 4-yards, 2 6-yards. That's it.
okay.
They are not on their property.
Yeah.
And a front loader to access that has to drive off the edge of the road.
Right,
And that continued off the edge of the road is eroding the edge of the road.
I understand that.
So, no.
But if they have the room to put a 4 whatever yard one on their property, the truck can drive on there and get it. I just not seeing a problem.
Well, right now, if you also notice, the proposal for collections
Mhm.
is 3 days
Yeah,
to pick up rollouts. Okay,
yeah,
you're gonna add another day for front load service in a residential neighborhood?
we have it on Saturday here, a lot of it.
This is a new contract.
It'll work on
We don't-
Saturday.
They don't work on Saturday.
I think it's unfair to a lot of people. personally.
Well, give me besides the door, what else are they throwing in there?
There's commercial.
Carpet,
They have to go commercial.
And again, that's demolition.
no.
But they
they're-
should have the
they're-
dumpster
They're
at
out doing
whatever, so-
remodeling, they're bringing
after
the
that.
stuff back. Sometimes they're working on
custom things that they're building, a lot of excess lumber. Especially along Priest Road, and a lot of those properties on Priest Road weren't in Sandy Oaks to begin with, and they've been doing this for 30 years. Sandy Oaks, before it was Sandy Oaks, it was Waterwood, and Waterwood told me, I asked them about all these different rules. They said, you can operate a business here as long as you don't advertise and you don't have people come to the house,
Mhm.
which people do here because they've got like notaries, things like that. But we're gonna look the other way on that stuff, but
No, we don't. We have an ordinance in place that addresses that. That those types of businesses are welcome to operate here. They're not generating traffic to their residents.
right,
But to have I'm going to say a contractor who lives here and goes out and buys materials and does a job and then brings that waste, that commercial waste home to dump it here, no.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
well, I think you're,
As a business owner,
Your margin's getting slimmer and slimmer.
well, no, I understand that, but that's not, you don't bring that home. No. And it's
Pay
not
for a
offered,
dumpster
it's
on
not being
site and
offered
dump
in
it
this
there.
contract. So that's why I wanted to point that out, that in the new contract, single family residence is only receiving the rollouts. No containers, no dumpsters. But I would like to ask a question of Ryan in here. We're talking about, it's a single family, sorry. The containers are placed within 5 feet of the curbside or right of way adjacent to the single family residence no later than 7 a.m. on the scheduled collection day. But you show business hours as 6 a.m. So
And it should be 6 a.m.
you want to put 6 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, so let's change to 6.
What page are we
That's
on?
early.
7.
We on eight or?
Well, you just have to look and see when your route
Oh,
is.
mine's Wednesday. I'm okay. Same day. Kids put it out Tuesday night. We're good, but still, that's early.
And so same thing, 6 a.m. on the second note there. Okay. The containers, the service provider will provide to the customer 1 solid waste rollout and 1 recyclable materials rollout if requested. Additional containers may be ordered from the customer upon request. And again, those extra carts are $7, whether it's recycle or regular trash, correct?
That is correct. And I know the recycling, everyone's gonna get a trash cart,
Right.
but the recycling.
Some people do and some people don't.
So if we deliver everybody a recycle cart and those folks, some folks are gonna be like, I'm not gonna use this, should we just arrange to pick it up?
Well, here's what we have basically been sharing with people is that whatever service you have today it's just going to be a different container. Same thing. So you have the list, the customer list
Mhm.
by address on what they have. If they don't have recycle today, don't give them
Don't
recycle.
give them a second.
Yeah.
Okay,
If they want recycle, they can call and ask for
okay.
it. Yeah. Okay, excess or misplaced municipal solid waste. Do the service provider shall collect all municipal solid waste placed within the rollout. What now? Well, you can't talk to Tom while we're having a meeting.
I'm out of order again. The clown, you know.
Let's see. The service provider shall collect all municipal solid waste placed within the rollout containers provided by the service provider. The service provider will not be required to provide service when containers are located near cars, mailboxes, or other obstructions in a way that the service provider reasonably determines creates an unsafe condition that could cause damage to property or injury to persons. Perfectly fine with that.
And the flip side is the mail person isn't gonna deliver your mail if the trash gets out in the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So for curbside bulk, they will collect curbside from the single family residential units that are enrolled with the service provider. So again, you have to be a customer to participate in this program. Uh, And let's see. We will determine the dates for those. That's going to be interesting. Because everyone's used to it being on a Saturday.
Mhm.
So it'll be during the week and, ideally you put it out the weekend before and then you go to your job or whatever you do and you come home and it's gone.
Mhm.
What a concept.
I'm done.
Curbside bulk shall not contain hazardous waste and the service provider reserves the right to refuse collection if it reasonably believes curbside bulk to contain hazardous waste. If excess curbside bulk is set out by the customer, the service provider will notify the single-family residential unit and offer for them an opportunity to pay for the additional curbside bulk removal. So that to me is a great thing because I think in the past what's happened is it wasn't picked up and that was it. It just wasn't picked up. So it just sat there. And I know this gentleman here is not a big fan of bulk pickup, period.
Yeah, at that point, when we tag them, it'll be like, please contact us. We'll quote them for,
Perfect.
typically it's like, I don't know, $10 a yard or something.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. So on curbside brush, same thing. They're going to use the residential, only those residential units that are enrolled with the service provider, and curbside brush will be twice a year, as will curbside bulk twice a year. And let's see, it will be restricted to 3 yards per pickup per single family residential unit per collection date. Again, no hazardous waste. They can refuse collection if they believe it contains hazardous waste. The service provider reserves the right to tag and leave curbside brush in excess of 3 yards per pickup per single family residential unit per collection date. If excess curbside brush is left by the service provider will notify the residential unit and offer an opportunity to pay for additional curbside brush removal. So that's good to know. Changes to unit collections. The service provider may, from time to time, change or alter the specified collection days for municipal solid waste and recyclable materials. Should there be a need to change the collection days, the service provider will provide at least a number of days advance notice to the city and to the impacted customers. So how many days do you think is?
I usually leave it to the city's preferences, but 30 days is a good standard.
Oh, if you know 30 days in advance, that's great.
Yeah. I feel like that's a reasonable, but some municipalities have asked for 60 days.
How are they notified?
How are they notified?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that later, but they have a great app, number one. Their call center, they can always call in, and you have an outbound texting for your customers as well.
And voicemail.
And
calls.
voicemail. So
we
they have a number of ways to
Yeah.
notify.
Can you sign up with your app rather than
I
calling in?
have. I mean, our addresses are now loaded in there. I've been
Yes.
kind of monitoring the app.
I mean, I've already got the app. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is, can you initiate service on the app?
So that's coming, but for
Not yet.
right now, we
Not yet.
require folks to call us.
Okay.
Just so
Okay.
we make sure there's no errors or I don't want there to be any hiccups.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, are you sending paper bills?
So by default, we'll send paper invoices. Some folks don't like that. They want email only, and we can do that too.
Do you charge extra for paper bills?
We do not.
Is the ACH possible?
I asked if you
Yes.
charged
Auto
extra
pay,
to send you a paper statement in
Auto
the
pay is
mail.
possible.
They don't.
I actually recommend it for municipality customers because your price locked. The only time your price could possibly change is annually with the CPI adjustment. So if you have auto pay set up, it's kind of like a set and forget. You don't have to worry about the price changing or your ACH amount changing or
Right.
anything like that.
I only use
Okay.
mail.
So here on item F, do we want to put 30 days in here for the notification?
I do.
30 days? Okay, we'll put 30 in there. Okay. Roll-off container services, the service provider may, upon request and with the sole discretion of the service provider, provide single-family residential units with roll-off containers and provide accompanying services. Roll-off is different than a dumpster. This is a,
Yeah, I know.
okay, just so everybody knows. Okay, so section 5, which is commercial unit, industrial unit, and municipal facilities. Again, they have to contact the service provider to initiate service. You and I probably need to have a conversation, maybe schedule some time and go meet individually
Yeah.
with them
That'd be great.
and have that conversation. They're gonna service those units at least once per week. And the pricing is in Exhibit A for those services. Okay. That's page 8, page 9.
I did have a question.
Yes,
I noticed in the red line, we added recyclable materials for commercial. Do any commercial businesses currently recycle?
No.
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
So let's strike that. You know what? I take that back. Dollar General does bundle their cardboard.
They bundle their cardboard.
Mhm. But I don't know if they have somebody that's picking that up, or I'm not quite sure how that works.
Dollar General's, it's a big national company.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes they'll bale it and resell it. I know cardboard commodity is really high right now.
Right,
So they're probably gonna want to send it to whoever's recycling their cardboard.
right.
We can certainly offer that service to them.
Okay.
I don't know if they'll accept
Well-
it through us.
How would we address that, Mr. Ortiz, from a contract standpoint for commercial?
I think because it's exclusive, it's an exclusive contract, you would remove the recyclable materials, and maybe that can be a
That if someone is, like Dollar General is doing the cardboard, then if they have
It's
somebody that they're
It's
using,
no longer a waste pickup, ma'am. It's a sales of a commodity. Yeah, and I don't think we can interfere with that.
I would agree.
And because it's a commercial establishment, what do they have in there? 15 trucks a week in there. So one pickup for cardboard's not gonna.
So let's
not gonna
remove,
Impact our
We don't wanna
business.
mess with it.
business.
Strike it.
yeah, let's strike and recyclable materials from that paragraph. Okay, good catch there, Ryan. And also the next paragraph, it's referenced as well. Okay, so they will be, the waste will be placed inside the containers provided by the service provider. The service provider shall offer commercial units to increase or decrease as necessary the frequency of collections and sizes and numbers of containers. And they shall be compensated for these additional services as identified in Exhibit A. Ms. Ortiz, oh, wait, hold on a
Where are we
moment.
at?
Again, 30 days notice to, we're on item B, changes to unit collections.
Right.
30 days again to your commercial.
Yeah,
Customers,
yes,
okay.
30 days is what I recommend. for
Okay.
that.
And then Ms. Ortiz, I see paragraph C has been struck. You want to,
I will add that back in, but then strike, there is a reference to recyclable materials.
perfect. Okay. Okay, so section 6 is special collections and services. Roll-off containers and services. The service provider may, upon request and within the sole discretion of the service provider, provide the city with roll-off containers and accompanying services. Now, the city or when you mention city, you mean all the customers.
Yes.
You're not talking about the municipal city itself.
No, correct. Anyone within the city. limits.
Okay. Can we change that to say customers instead of city?
I'm not opposed to it.
I just think it, because in my mind, when I read it, it just sounds like it's the municipal
Just
city.
municipal stuff.
Yeah. So we'll change that to customers.
Is that A?
Pardon?
Hey,
Is that A?
That was 6A, yes. Also in 6B,
Is that the one you asked me about, 6B? The service is not used.
oh, yes. Yes, so when I read this, and I'll read what it says, any services set forth in this section that are not utilized by the city within any contract year will not carry over to the next contract year. So I reached out to Ryan to ask what that meant. Let's say that we have 2 curbside and 2 bulk pickups scheduled for the year, and for whatever reason, we don't use one of those. That does not mean that that unused opportunity rolls over to the next year. So now you have 3 and 2 or whatever. That's what that means. So thank you for clarifying it. You'd already figured that out? Okay,
Not cumulative.
it is not. Okay, so service provider will, upon notice and request, make all reasonable accommodations for those customers requiring, including customers requiring handicap accessible accommodations. Such accommodations will be tailored to the specific requirements of the customer requiring such services. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the service provider will not enter a customer's house, garage, or backyard. So on the list here, I'm assuming the valet that's the handicap service.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so there were 10 residential customers, regular trash, and 8 recycling that had valet. That will probably increase. Because I would guess people don't know that it exists.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll generally go to anywhere around the outside along that we
Right.
can access, but
Okay. So any revenues generated from any rebates received from the city recycling volume will be paid to the city. So that's kind of awesome. So cardboard goes up and we're pushing a lot of cardboard, or I heard aluminum's gone up
yeah,
quite a bit.
prices in the last year have gone, the cost for processing has gone down a lot,
Mhm.
significant, which is good, because
Yeah.
that means it's headed towards rebate territory.
Right,
But unfortunately, we're still paying a processing cost
Okay.
for recycling.
okay. Section 7, disposal of solid waste. So the service provider is going to comply with all rules, regulations, laws, ordinances. And that's all just legal. Let's see, that's section 7. Section 8. Again, that's all just legal. Section 9. Exhibit A is the rates and fees that are to be paid to the service provider. Section 10, rate adjustments. So there is a CPI adjustment in the contract, similar to what we had with Tiger. And so it's going to automatically increase by an amount equal to the increase, if any, in the CPI U. What is the U?
Just urban.
Urban, okay.
Yeah.
During the prior rolling 12-month period. And the prior rolling 12-month period shall be the most recent 12-month period for which the CPIU is available on each annual anniversary date of the agreement. For purposes of this agreement, the term CPIU shall mean the Consumer Price Index published by the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics for all urban customers. Okay. Disposal and government fee cost out adjustments at any time during the term. They may increase based on things that are outside their control, whether it be a state, local, or federal rules, ordinances, regulations, things basically that are unforeseen that you don't know about, that would be
And
mandated.
I haven't seen us increase one of those
Exactly.
in 10 years.
Okay. Section 11. Before we get in, well, let's talk about this because this is going to be uncomfortable. Franchise fee. So when I saw that franchise fee had been added in here, and it was not added by Waste Connections, by the way, it was the city attorney did add it, and I asked not to have it in there. But there are some legal reasons why we have to put this in the contract. So I'll let Ms. Ortiz explain the rationale behind franchise fees.
Okay, and that should probably be a discussion in executive session.
Okay,
Of why, so
okay, we can do
I guess
that.
it'd be up to council whether other parts of the contract want to be.
Let's
discussed,
move on
and
to
then
other
back to whatever
parts
we
and
can
what,
discuss in executive.
yeah, let's do that. So,
Reports.
well, I was gonna go to section 12, under reports. No, because 12 and 13 are related to 11. Is that correct, Ms. Ortiz?
12 is, 13 is,
Yeah, 12 and 13 are. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to,
14.
let's move on to number, well, there's nothing changing in there. Oh, well, let's talk about term of agreement. The term of the agreement shall be for 5 years, commencing January 1st, 2022, concluding on December 31st, 2026, which is referred to as the initial term. At the expiration of the initial term of this agreement, the parties hereto may mutually agree to extend the agreement for successive periods of 2 years each. Each a renewal term and together with the initial term for the full term. And Ryan and I had talked about that just because of the logistical nature of the business. 1 year it's a lot of work for a 1 year renewal. So 2 years would give both parties time to kind of regroup if we needed to.
So that means after the 5 years, we would, if we wanted to proceed, we would go for an additional 2 years.
Mhm. It would be a mutually agreeable for an additional 2-year extension. Yeah. Under item 16, under enforcement,
And I have a question about that.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So hold on just a moment.
Okay.
If the service provider experiences recurring problems of damage or destruction to or theft of the containers provided by the service provider pursuant to this agreement, the service provider may, prior to replacing or repairing such containers, require security deposits from the commercial, industrial, or residential units utilizing such containers. To the maximum extent allowed by applicable law, the city also hereby grants to the service provider the right of ingress and egress from and upon the property of commercial, industrial, and residential units for the purpose of rendering the services contemplated hereby.
And that last sentence is what I have a question about. What does that mean? Does that mean we would give you the right to enter people's property without a warrant or notice?
No, it's only strictly to provide the services in the contract. So
Well,
for example, a handicap customer, we would have to go onto their property to grab their cart.
yeah, but okay, but back here on section 6, C, it says that you would not go into a customer's house, garage, or backyard.
Correct. So we could go on their driveway.
So why is that even necessary to say that there? And why is it under enforcement?
Under section,
Under 16, it's under enforcement, which gives it a different perception. Because we're talking about, remedying your loss of your carts. So to me, when I read it gave me the idea that you guys are looking for your carts. So you're going to go in and search people's property.
And I made a note in here on that particular sentence
Mhm.
with police. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
trying to figure
well,
out
I
how.
mean, you don't
Yeah.
enter people's property unless you give them notice or you have a warrant. And even
Right.
then
Right.
you give them notice.
I can certainly ask our legal department why they worded it like that.
Okay, I would appreciate.
Yeah,
that.
no problem. Because I want it to be clear as well.
Okay. I just starred that one and we'll have a different discussion on that.
All right.
and
that's
Yeah,
fine.
clarify.
I mean,
The vast amount is of issues with carts is typically not damages. It's, they say their cart was
No,
stolen.
I agree. You need to find your parts. are not
Right.
cheap.
Yeah, and we always recommend people contact the police and file a report if they say somebody stole any
Yeah, I
of
agree.
their property.
I did that one time. I told them that my cart was stolen. They told me I forgot to pay my bill. Technically it wasn't stolen.
Yeah.
And took it up.
They took it, yes.
Don't
The
worry, we
advantage
have
of
it.
auto pay.
Exactly. Oh, my.
Wow.
Okay, under section 17, processing, billing and fees, they're going to be quarterly statements. They're going to provide an invoice in advance, very much like Tiger does today. They will invoice each commercial and industrial customer monthly in advance. Payment will be due within 30 days after receipt of the invoice.
I have a question about, where are we? Are we on?
We're still on number 17,
Oh,
page
okay.
14.
No, that's all right. I'm not-
Okay.
not-
So the service provider will identify each customer who fails to make the required payments for services provided. And this, they will have all rights and remedies available to it under the state law to collect. The city agrees to fully cooperate with the service provider as may be necessary and permitted by law in any delinquent payment collection efforts. And the service provider is not required to provide any services and may in its sole discretion stop services who is delinquent in payments. Perfectly fine.
And we'll also provide the city a list of delinquent customers because I don't want city staff to be blindsided if they're like, why did they cut off my service? City staff will already know
We already know, yeah.
you're suspended.
And just so you know, we typically will refer those back to the service provider because the relationship is really between the customer and the provider.
Yes.
But we certainly like to help out when we can. All customers shall also be responsible for paying any and all sales, use and service taxes, billing for roll-off services. The service provider will bill and collect all commercial and industrial units for services performed with respect to roll-off containers. Okay, but roll-offs could be a residential, a rehab. Somebody's redoing their home or it's a
Yeah.
tear down or whatever. So this is limiting commercial and industrial.
I agree. It should not omit residential and we'll include that.
Okay, so we'll clarify. Make sure that that's clear. Okay, spillage. Basically, what it says in here is they're not responsible for anything that was spilled over. So a dog came through, knocked it over. They backed out of their driveway and knocked it over. They're not responsible. Service provider's not responsible for that. However, if the spillage is a result of something that they did, then they certainly will take care of that. Non-collection notice and follow-up. 13, that's 14. Okay. So then there's the notice from the service provider and a notice. Let's talk about this one. It is specifically understood and agreed that where the owner or occupant of a commercial, industrial, or residential unit fails to timely or properly place a container as directed in this agreement, or is otherwise in violation of the city's ordinances and regulations, the service provider's reasonable rules adopted hereunder or the provisions of this agreement relating to the nature, volume, or weight of municipal solid waste, recyclable materials, or construction and demolition waste to be removed, the service provider may refrain from collecting all or a portion of such waste. Okay,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
I think it's already been covered, but I thought I saw it originally that the carts have to be 3 feet apart. That's something to do with, because your gripper, give your gripper, or is it 5 feet apart?
It was 5 feet from
From
a car,
stationary on-
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But so if we're gonna have regular waste and recycling happen on the same day, how do those need to be placed?
They could place them right next to each other.
Oh, really? They don't have
Yeah,
to be 3 feet apart?
no, not for carts.
Okay.
Are they gonna be on the same day?
Yes.
Mhm.
Recycling in?
Well, every other week is recycled.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that week it'll still be same, they'll be next to each other.
And
because-
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we, if we hit our own cart or we spill something out of our own cart, that's our responsibility.
Right.
That 5-foot rule is purely so we don't damage any customer property
Okay.
or anything like that.
Okay. Hours of service,
Oh, I had a question
oh,
about
yes, I'm
B.
sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
It says in B, in the event service provider fails to collect municipal solid waste, recyclable materials or construction demolition waste, blah, 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 blah. Then the service provider will use reasonable efforts to collect such waste, blah, blah, within 1 business day of the service provider receiving written notice. Now, is that snail mail or how do you want that? Because by the time you get a letter, it's next week and you're gonna be,
Well, actually, they have a great, they have like a 3-point process for missed collection. So I'll let Ryan go over that.
okay.
Yeah, so if you, so folks written, I know, I don't like the way that's written either, because folks could call us, right?
If you
And
can
they,
call, it's fine,
Yeah.
but it says written, so.
I agree. that
Let's
is
strike the word
ambiguous.
written
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
okay.
just say no.
Notice, okay.
But yes, so if we do, let's say, because sometimes we'll get a missed pickup call that same day. And while we're still on route, we will make an effort to go get it that same
That's
exact
fine.
day.
I just didn't like
Um,
that word written.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Definitely.
they have, I want y'all to hear the 3 points that they use, because I find that,
Were you talking about the ways to contact us?
no. So somebody calls and says they didn't pick up my trash.
Oh, so yes. So if somebody calls us and says you didn't pick up our trash today. So our trucks have various tools, obviously, that we know for a fact if we went and picked it up or not. One is every truck has a GPS unit in it, which we know exactly what street they went to and where they went to every single day. 2 is the trucks have live cameras in them. We could pull footage of the driver at that exact second. We can pull footage of that driver from any time. So we'll know exactly if he picked it up or not that same day, or if the cart was not out.
Or the cart was not out.
And then thirdly, if the cart was not out, our drivers call it in and report it while they're in front of the house to dispatch. So it's completely reasonable. A resident could literally call us and be like, you missed me. And the CSR, the customer service rep would already have their notes up on their account being like, they showed your cart was not out at 7:30 a.m. this
Right.
morning.
Yeah.
Um,
You're gonna get a lot of notices from me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I recycle every, 4 to 6 weeks and trash a couple times.
Well,
a
but they're
month.
they're not necessarily contacting you because it's not out. If it's
No, they're-
not out over a period of time, they're certainly gonna reach out and make sure. Because sometimes, like this week, I didn't put my trash out at all because I didn't have
Right.
either one of them filled.
yeah, I mean, we'll still notate the account that it's not out.
Right,
But if your bill's current and people choose not to put it out, we're not gonna hound you.
Right.
We just figure folks, like, I know recycling, a lot of people don't put it out until it's full, so
yeah,
they'll just keep it
right,
and then they'll put it out in the 3rd week. or
yeah.
Whatever the case is. But yeah, it's very important to have good communication on not outs because especially municipalities, I mean, people do run late and sometimes you forget.
Right.
They'll just be like, you missed me. Now, us as a courtesy, since we are here 3 days, we'll 100% go back and pick them up the next
If
day.
needed, yeah.
That's good.
I know the contract says like, oh, we don't have to, no, we'll 100% go get it because we're gonna get it anyways.
Right,
Eventually.
right.
So we might as well get it as soon as possible.
Okay, so then hours of service, we've already talked about that. Customer service. So their hours are 8 a.m. through 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, so standard business hours. They do have a toll-free number for customer service. And then the customers are also encouraged to contact the service provider at their website. And that we'll get that published as well. And then compliance with laws. That's just general stuff. Okay, so pavement is a paragraph in here. And I'll just read what the final reads, except for normal wear and tear, the service provider shall be solely responsible for the repair and or replacement of any damage to public property, including pavement damage, curbing, or other driving surfaces, or any right-of-way during the operation of services provided by the service provider that is caused by the negligence or willful misconduct of the service provider, its agents, or employees. Repair and or replacement of property includes, but is not limited to, fences, gas meters, and water heaters.
So I'm gonna defer to our legal department
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just jargon that
It is,
I can't really
But-
speak to.
right, but other than normal wear and tear.
Yeah, I mean, the way I read it, it looks good, but
Looks-
our legal
yeah.
department would be like, no, or change this.
Right. Okay. All right, and then they go over their insurance coverage amounts. And then we get into a lot of real legalese here. And even more legalese here. Okay, so termination. If during the term of the agreement, either party shall be in breach of any provision of this agreement, the other party may suspend its performance hereunder until such breach has been cured, or terminate this agreement, provided, however, that no termination of this agreement shall be effective until the complaining party has given written notice of such breach to the breaching party, and the breaching party has failed to cure such breach within 30 days after its receipt of such notice. Upon any such failure to cure, the complaining party may terminate the agreement by giving the breaching party written notice of such termination, which shall become effective upon receipt. That's very standard, but just wanted to understand. Now we have section 29 and section 30, Ms. Ortiz.
I don't remember why that's in there again. It may have just been they're very much the same.
They are very much the same.
I mean.
So we will just say, combine and delete.
You can delete
Duplicates.
30,
No. There may be something in 30.
okay.
But again, both attorneys on both sides will. Ryan and I aren't signing anything until the attorneys say it's okay. Okay, then we move on to more legalese. More legalese. Public Information Act, this is all just legal stuff. Okay, and that's pretty much it.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
So,
Oh, wait. Go ahead.
all right, it's something small, but it just bugs me because I used to deal with contracts a lot. I noticed that it says service for single family residents, $18 per single family residential unit. But it doesn't say
Weekly, monthly,
weekly,
yearly,
monthly. yearly.
$18 per what?
Yeah, per, and down low, it says $10 per month for casters, $10
Right.
a month. And that, to me, it's
And
should be.
basically all of these say the same thing, like, so for commercial units, $75 per 2-yard container if service once a week. Are these monthly?
I
So
would-
probably we should, on the header,
Yeah,
put on their monthly rates.
per month.
Yeah, because they're all monthly, but obviously the residential's paid quarterly.
Exactly,
It's paid quarterly, but that's a monthly fee.
Yes, sir.
exactly, that's, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then under roll-off services, I know you sent me something about that. I didn't have it in time to incorporate it into this.
We can add it when.
Yeah.
When we send back the.
Do you recall what that was?
Yes, I have one email.
Let's see here. Probably find it faster than me.
It looks like it was 500 per haul, but 6 tons of disposal are included in it and $100 delivery. And that's for roll-off work, which is typically construction.
And the $500 haul per haul includes how much?
6 tons of
6
disposal.
tons. Okay,
So I know it doesn't list it as well. We'll be sure to put on here, but typically we'll add a charge for tonnage over 6 tons.
and can you put on here the roll-off size?
Yes,
It's 30 yards, did you say?
yeah, it is 30 yards, and I was gonna say something about that earlier. We do offer 20s and 40-yard dumpsters as well. I don't know if we want to include that. in there too.
I would.
Okay,
Yeah,
I would do
too.
them all because like for the municipal, for our use here at the city, we have a 40-yard.
okay,
Because there's a lot of stuff that gets picked up. But if you're just doing a smaller cleanup, you know,
Just a 20-yard
who wants to
dumpster.
pay for a 30-yard when I can get a 20-yard? So if you could do the rates for those,
No problem.
okay,
Yeah, and it's really hard to throw stuff into a 40-yard.
it is.
It's like 7.
It's so
It has
tall.
a door on the end, right?
Yes, they
Yeah.
all have the doors on the end.
Yeah.
But the 20-yard dumpster is only 4 feet tall, so
Right.
a lot of folks like those better.
Yeah,
to throw.
those will probably work for most of the,
Mhm.
okay, so you're gonna add all that information. Okay,
I've got a dumpster question.
Mhm.
There will be some dumpsters for commercial.
for commercial, yes.
What day of the week will that happen?
So I guess it was kind of dependent on if we were gonna have residential dumpsters in conjunction with the commercial dumpsters.
Yeah, we're not.
So if we're not doing that, we're gonna have to go back and look at our reroute, and we would communicate that well in advance of the start of that. It also depends on their service frequency. Some commercial businesses are once a week, but the ones that are twice a week, you know, they're gonna be on one of those 2 days that we come out for the once a week pickups.
Right.
If it's, I think you said the max was twice a week service, and for any commercial, so it's gonna be a Monday, Thursday, or a Tuesday, Friday.
Right.
It's gonna be one of those.
Okay. And then you each should have a copy of, this is just a preliminary, this is not final, so don't post it as final.
But yeah.
It is, yeah, it's preliminary based on the list that they had on the number of customers and their ability to service those for now.
And I have uploaded it to the reroute program, and I can come at a future council meeting to show everybody what that looks like. The boundaries on there are gonna be roughly similar, but like I know one day was much heavier than all the other two.
You know, that's so interesting that the yellow area, in my mind, appears much larger than the other areas.
Mhm.
And that's more established than like, I would have expected this to be a bigger area.
Larger
Red.
lots.
Well, yeah, down Priest Road, but down here on the Grand Springs, this area back here, I would have expected it to be larger, but
It'll definitely change a little bit,
right,
but for the most part, that's generally what we're gonna look at for service.
okay. And then this, as I understand it, this is the new unit?
Yes, that's correct. That's a brand new 2021 Peterbilt McNeilus automated side load truck. We just got it
Awesome.
2 weeks ago.
And this will be servicing just,
Are you gonna have new
Yes.
hires on our routes? Or are
Nope.
you gonna
He
use
has-
old
he
employees,
has one of his.
Experience, good hands? or-
No, it's actually gonna be our driver trainer. His name's John Moya, and he's the best we got.
Okay, great.
I'll definitely have him. We talked about it, if we want him to check in every day after
Mhm.
servicing to see if there's any complaints or anything like that, but he typically will make it a point to, do everything exactly by the book, call in all the misses. Folks around town, they'll see him every week and they're gonna get to know John. So, and I like that. I like residents knowing their driver.
and that's one of the comments I've heard from some residents is that, well, we've had the same person for years
Yeah.
and,
It helps because he'll know every handicap stop. He'll know every
Exactly.
turn. He'll know every, they set their card out a little late.
right,
He'll know everything after
okay.
probably 2 or 3 weeks of service out here.
Well, here's my thought. That we recess for a break. And then we come back and then we go into executive session. and then we come back and finalize this, if that is okay with everybody. This, I don't believe that the executive session will take too terribly long,
We're holding up the marshal.
because we're doing open meetings now. We require a police officer to be here. He's not being held up. He's enjoying it. So it is 8:17 PM and we will, we're gonna recess for 10 minutes. And we will reconvene at, we'll say 8:30.
That's 13 minutes.
I know.
now, So let's.
How long does it take to smoke 2 cigarettes?
So
What
in
do
the
we have, 13
meantime,
minutes? Is
I'm
there
going
14
to
minutes? Going
to the
pause the
bathroom in high
recording.
school, Burning them up.
all of this. Huh. Okay, so it is 8:30 and we are going to reconvene to regular session. And then,
And the language is on the last page of the agenda. It's
on the
551.
last page, there we go. Okay, it is 8:30 PM. We are going to, it's not a recess, is it?
No, it's executive session.
We're going to convene to executive session. This is discussion only. It is closed to the public. The council may close the meeting at any time and hold an executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultations with attorney on matters in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly requires discussion in closed session. Section 551.072,
Not the other ones.
pardon?
Not the other.
Oh,
sections,
not the other ones,
just
okay. The Open Meetings Act permits a governing body to consult with its attorney privately in executive session by telephone conference call, video call, or communications over the internet per Texas Government Code 551.129. So at this time, it is 8:31 and we will move to executive session. So I'm going to mute and I will pause the recording. Okay, if 8:49, we are back in regular session and we're going to go back to the contract in section 11, section 12, and section 13. I'm going to recommend that we strike those from the contract, all three of those sections, as they relate to a franchise fee. And the purpose, the reason for that is that there is a genuine public purpose for implementing this contract, which includes keeping the rates low for our residents. And an exclusive contract is beneficial to everyone by restricting heavy traffic on our roads. So that would be my recommendation on those three. So there would be no franchise fee at all in this contract.
Totally agree with you, man.
Okay. So that concludes the discussion on the contract. And with that, I would entertain a motion from the table on item 9C, which is discuss and or possible action approving a franchise agreement for the collection, hauling, and disposal of municipal solid waste and construction and demolition waste with Waste Connections of Texas LLC.
I move we authorize the mayor to complete the contract as discussed this evening.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Fillinger and Alderman Rapino authorizing myself to continue negotiating the contract for final presentation. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? Okay, that was
Yes,
you.
I'm opposed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you opposed or you want to
Yes, I'm
abstain?
opposed.
Okay. And one nay. Okay, that motion carries. Okay, and Ryan or Mr. Schuyler, I appreciate you joining us this evening. You and I will work through some of the legal terminology that's in here, but the gist of the entire contract, I think we're all in agreement with.
Yes.
And then I'll get with you once we get that finalized. We'll work on the mail out.
Yep.
And we'll plan a visit to the commercial businesses.
Yes, and I will work on the revisions that we discussed as well, and
Oh, I have them. So
Oh, okay,
I'll
perfect.
send them to there and there will.
We'll get them to you.
then I'll forward. them.
Perfect. Okay.
Excellent.
And you're free to stay for the rest of the, but I have a feeling you'd rather be somewhere else.
I'm gonna have to, I live in New Braunfels.
Oh, well,
so I got a
then
little
you
drive.
be careful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. It was,
Your dogs are missing you.
yes, they are. It was a pleasure to meet everyone, and I'm sure I'll see everyone again.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Drive safe.
Okay, so now back over to the next item.
Should we back up and talk about animal control committees now?
Yes, we can. So let's move to item 7A. And Charlotte, I know you just love this because when you got to do the minutes, I'm all over the place. Updates and announcements from Animal Control Advisory Committee Chair Jennifer Puente with possible discussion and or action.
Alrighty, so we've been busy on the animal control side. We've been posting on social media, trying to find fosters for our dogs, just general awareness on microchipping, spay neutering. We will have another meeting on November the 8th at 6:30.
November 8th at 6:30. Okay. And is Penny Paws coming in November?
I reached out to Michelle. She hasn't gone back to me to confirm.
So if, right now, we could call it tentative
Yeah, for the 20th.
for the 20th. Okay. Perfect. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Keep me honest, where are we on all this? 5, 6, 7, 8.
9B.
90, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so 9B. Discuss under possible action on ordinance 2021-192, establishing a four-way stop at the intersection of Waterwood Pass and Shady Forest. So in our previous meeting, we talked about perhaps having a traffic study done. And because that was how the agenda item was listed, that's all that we could address at that time. The outcome from that discussion was that council voted not to have a traffic study done. So now we are going to consider an ordinance that will establish a four-way stop sign at that intersection. And I had it here, right here. And I think for all the reasons that we stated in the prior meeting, they all still pertain, but the ordinance does allow us, says here under section 3, the mayor shall cause to be erected, installed, and or maintain such stop signs in conformance with the Texas Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices as adopted by Texas Transportation Commission at the four corners of the intersection of Waterwood Pass with Shady Forest, which will create a four-way stop intersection where, except when directed to proceed by a police officer or other traffic control signal, every driver of a vehicle approaching a stop sign at said intersection shall stop, and after stopping may proceed when the intersection can be safely entered without interference or collision with traffic using a different street or roadway. Since we do have Chief Lopez with us, I would like to have him offer any insight.
Actually, I think that's a great idea. I'll also add to that, if that were to happen, I think that most people would go and transfer and start riding New Mathis Road. So because of that four-way stop sign. So I'm thinking, if you're going to do it on this side, do it on the other side.
Well, the rationale for Shady Forest and Waterwood Pass is if you're on Shady Forest, it's difficult sometimes because of line of sight. There's a curve and there's a hill. Depending on which side you're at, your blind spots are different. So it was a safety concern for there. If traffic flows change because of putting a four-way there, then that would be something we would have to address again, but at a future time. But you'll know where everybody is.
I really don't think it it's gonna impact traffic on New Mathis. I think that traffic has been impacted over the last few years.
Right.
As much as I wouldn't detour down New Mathis and then come back to Waterwood
Right,
to miss that stop sign, because no matter how I come through, whether Copper Canyon or Shady Forest or Hickory Shadow,
mhm,
I'm still gonna hit another stop sign.
Right.
So why,
right,
you know,
You'd be surprised on the traffic patterns on what I've seen here in the city. People that I know that take New Mathis that live off Hickory Shadow when they could just take Waterwood.
mm,
So, but
I listed at least 4 places. Well, some time ago that I thought needed 4-way, and they said that can't be done without traffic studies and all that. So they might be readdressed.
what,
and as we continue to grow, you know, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting. When we were first incorporated, we had an estimated population out here of 2,500 people. In that 6-7 year time frame, to the most recent census that was done, the numbers are over 5,000. So we have effectively doubled, and we still have room for more growth. There's still over 400 lots that are available. You know, figure 3 people per home. I mean, that's another 1,200 people potentially out here in a very condensed area. So the problem I'm sure that we would experience, some of those other areas will become problematic over time as well. But I don't think we can address all
no,
of
we
them.
can't.
Yeah.
But that particular intersection is definitely would.
Well, and Shady Forest also is a, I don't want to call it a major thoroughfare, but it is a feeder in because it's
Right.
another entrance into
yeah,
the subdivision,
it's the second
the second, yeah,
main thoroughfare.
right.
Waterwood Pass being the first, but
Mhm.
Shady Forest is the,
It's only cross street in the city.
yeah, it's the north-south.
The only
Main
north
drag.
south, right?
So the only thing I want to restate is we will need warning signs.
Yes, well, and that is addressed here in section 3. We will have to, this will have to be completed in compliance with the Texas
Right.
Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, so,
And the warning signs are necessary for the same reason.
exactly.
Coming up the hill and coming
Exactly.
around the curve.
We'll take all of that into consideration.
We're gonna have stop bars at the.
Yes,
stop
there will,
signs.
every time there's a stop sign, there should be a stop bar. The other thing is, I know people have talked about speed humps and speed bumps,
No.
and those will not work out here, but my thought is, as just an additional consideration, that because this is going to be new, you know, we're going to need some kind of flashing indicators, some kind of advance warning that there's a stop sign ahead. But I also was thinking about perhaps rumble strips may be the easiest solution to get attention, like, oh, reminder. you know,
Rumble strips and then the flashing.
And the
stop sign
flashing.
signal, Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of rumble.
I like rumble strip. It'll get your attention.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they have signs that indicate that there's a stop sign ahead. So
Yeah,
Rumble strips that as well.
okay,
I mean, if that happens, then, you know, I can guarantee you citizens are gonna run it because they're not used to it. And
Yeah.
that's
Like
part of it with
one
the
lot.
change as well.
exactly. And as long as we have proper signals and warnings and all
Yes.
that. Under section 5, it says any person in violation of this ordinance shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction thereof shall be fined a sum not to exceed $500. A sign designated in this ordinance shall become property of the city, and penalty for removal or having in possession any signs designated as property of the city shall be punishable by a fine not to exceed $500. So that's good. All right, anyone like to make a motion on that?
I move that we approve ordinance number 2021-192, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Sandy Oaks, Texas, adding a four-way stop at the intersection of Waterwood Pass and Shady Forest, providing for a penalty, providing for a repealing and severability. Am I reading the right?
Yes.
ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah. Severability and open meeting clause and providing for an effective date and publication.
A second.
Okay. And just to clarify on that, well, first of all, we have a motion by Alderman Martino and a second by Alderman Crickmer to approve ordinance 2021-192 as presented. The effective date would be today, the 28th of October, and it would be published.
Ma-
Charlotte would need to,
Madam Mayor,
yes, sir.
do we not have to have a second reading on this?
It's a safety.
It's health and safety.
Thank you.
Yeah, so no, we do not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Where were we? Okay, so the motion has been made. All
Need
in,
a vote.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay. And then we have another, Ms. Ortiz, do you happen to have a print, or does anybody here have the printed copy of what I sent you an email? Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 9E. Discuss and or possible action on change in compensation for employees to include Chief Felipe Lopez, Officer Adrian Castillo, Officer Joelle Magny, which is a probationary increase, Catherine Yelton, Priscilla Schmidt, and Charlotte Rabe. And so I will first defer to Ms. Ortiz. Can we discuss this in open session, or do we need to go into executive session?
You can discuss that in open session.
Okay. Okay, so I prepared, every year when I do the budget, I also include a cost of living increase for our existing employees. Doesn't mean they're going to get the full amount, they might get a little more, they might get a little less. It just kind of depends on their performance and what we have going on. So we will start with Chief Felipe Lopez. And the first thing I want to note is, sir, I apologize. I did not give you an increase last year, even though I budgeted for it. So for that, I'm sorry, but I'll make up for it this year. So he was hired in July of 2019. The last time that he had any pay treatment was in November of 2019. He is currently at an annual salaried rate. This would be an exempt salary rate of $60,000. I did some research through a website, the state auditor, that talks about salaries and personnel and different types of things that pertain specifically to law enforcement. And in there were some different areas do different things. They all kind of do similar, but they address them a little bit differently. In the law enforcement world, they offer supplemental pay for different things. So in this case, I've included two supplemental pay categories within the law enforcement department. One of them is a TCOL certification. So Chief Lopez has a master's certification, and that equated they use different markets. So there's a Dallas, there's a Houston, there's a San Antonio, I think even El Paso has one. We can't compare ourselves to SAPD. We can't necessarily compare ourselves to Bexar County, but we can use those as kind of a general guideline and baseline to apply some of these supplemental pay. And for this particular market, for a master certification, that equated to $2,880 over and above a base compensation. So my proposal for Chief Lopez is to give him an increase, which would be a 4.8% increase for his base rate. So take him from $60,000 to $62,880. add in the TCO certification supplemental pay of 2880, which would put him at 65,760, still as an exempt employee. And if you guys want to go through all of them, or you want to vote on them as we go, how should we do that?
Let's go.
As we go?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any questions on Chief Lopez? I'm gonna take that as a no. So my recommendation for Chief Lopez is to change his rate, his annual salary rate to be $65,760. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we approve the, what was that figure again there? $65,760 for Chief Lopez.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderwoman Fuente to approve a new annual rate for Chief Lopez to be $65,760. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, let's move on to Officer Adrian Castillo. He was hired January of 2020. His last pay treatment was in August of 2020. And his TCO certification is basic. In the auditor's report that I used, basic did not earn any additional supplemental pay. I am proposing a 2.4% increase for Officer Castillo, and that would take him from a current annual of, and he is a non-exempt employee, so he is entitled to overtime. His current is $41,995. Increasing him to, I don't know where I came up with that number.
Is that a percentage of what?
Oh, it's the same number. Never mind. It's getting late. Proposing a new base rate for him of $43,003.
Do our officers get a lot of overtime? Or none?
I don't know that they're getting a lot of overtime. There is some overtime, and unfortunately, it's
No, I
not
mean,
anything you
they
can plan
have to,
on.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
It's
absolutely.
been very low for the
Yeah,
past.
Okay, I
last
just
year, this
wondered,
year.
I mean.
Has it been?
We've maintained it, depending on call volume or whatever they
Right.
rest, but they've done very well. Not to go in excess amount of overtime.
Right. They do get some. I mean, there's just
Yeah, well,
times that
You have to do it.
They have to,
I
yeah.
understand.
nature of the job.
So you recommend it what figure?
$43,003.
$3.
It's just the way the numbers,
Even number.
Rumble.
Okay, I move that we approve $43,003
Castillo.
for Officer Castillo.
Okay, anyone second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderwoman Puente to approve a new base salary rate for Officer Adrian Castillo to be $43,003 per year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, next page. Thank you. Officer Joel Magny. This is a probationary increase for him. He started working for us in April of 2021. That's his one and only pay treatment he has received. He's currently at $36,005 per year. Now I had included on here a supplemental pay for $600, but that does not apply in a probationary environment. So even though it's on here, it's not to be included in this.
We're bilingual,
For not for the probationary period. So
but
for
that's what
his,
it's for, right?
exactly, yes. So I am recommending that his probationary rate change from $36,005 to $38,525. And then he would be eligible for an annual increase this time next year.
That's $38,500,
$525.
$525.
Mhm.
Okay, I moved that we with $38,525 for Officer Maggie.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderman Crickmer to increase the base rate for Officer Joel Magny to be $38,525. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, let's move on to Catherine Yelton. She was hired originally in July of 2018. Her last pay treatment was in October of 2020. And current annual is $43,680. But remember, her pay treatment changed because she officially assumed the role for the court clerk. I did not look back at what her pay treatment was prior in the city clerk position. But I will tell you that in the time that she has assumed that role, even before she was officially in that role, she is highly effective in that position. That court runs very well. Between the judge and the prosecutor, and I know Ms. Ortiz has been sitting in on some of the court sessions as well. And Chief, I think she's just got that thing rolling the way it's supposed to be. And she is singly responsible for implementing the Zoom court sessions. Otherwise, we weren't holding anything. So she kind of took that upon herself to make it happen.
I heard San Antonio's back in regular session.
Don't know that San
I heard one of my
Antonio for
friends.
courts.
I think it's different at municipal court level, that maybe county and district courts, because
I know the criminal court.
they're closed, or they're still Zoom effect until December.
December is
1st.
what is the date I'd heard, yeah.
Some of them are practicing. I don't know what court they're doing, but
So currently, Ms. Yelton is making $43,680 a year. I'm proposing that we move her to $44,990. And that's the full 3% that was budgeted for an increase in that position.
so what's her,
Right now, this is where she is at now. And this is where,
okay. I moved that we approve $44,990 for Catherine Yelton as the court clerk.
okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderman Crickmer to increase the base salary for Catherine Yelton Court Clerk to be $44,990. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. I can't even spell it. Okay.
Started with a Y.
I know. Okay, next on the list is Priscilla Schmidt. She was hired in September of 2020, and that's been her only pay treatment into the Public Works position. I have a feeling around the table, the general consensus is she is, as I have noted, highly effective in that position. And I recognize that she's only, it's been just a year that she's been in that position, but I think she's really accomplished quite a bit and very capable in that position. I would propose that we move her currently from $31,720 to $32,672. That again is the full 3% that was budgeted for that position.
I think that's too little.
Well, and I mean, we certainly can change that.
Suggest a number. I mean, I'd suggest 38, but
Oh,
you're
no, I
not gonna
can't
buy
go
that
there.
one.
I can't go there.
Okay, but just considering she worked during the freeze and worked during when she shouldn't have been at work and all other things, and she does every odd job in the city.
She really does.
I feel where she's grossly underpaid.
And I knew that that was going to be a discussion because I've heard individually from almost everyone at this table that same comment.
We'll take it out of your pay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Where did you,
Zero.
what are you recommending, man?
I was recommending 32,672, and to be quite honest, that's about a 50-cent raise, 50 cent an hour. And I, it's shaking.
Yeah.
You know what, first of all, we do have padding in the budget, so we can certainly afford to increase it. I just need to know what your recommendation is.
I recommend 35.
Hold on a moment. Well, yes and no. 35. No, divided by 2080. It would put her at 1682. That's about a buck 60 increase.
Over what she's making now, 15 and a quarter.
Yes,
Okay, so that bring her 15, 16 and a quarter, up to $17 roughly.
1680. I mean, if you want to go 17,
Yeah, let's go 17.
holy
Not
moly.
my money.
I know.
You're listening to you, Gary.
That would put her at $35,360.
I propose to do that.
Okay, so you're making a motion?
I make a motion that we raise her salary to Priscilla Schmidt's salary to, what was that number?
35,360.
35,360.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Alderman Bricken and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Fillinger to increase the annual salary for Priscilla Schmidt to $35,360. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous.
Nobody wanted a death wish.
Okay, and last on the list, certainly not least, is Miss Charlotte Rabe. And she was just hired in December of 2020. Even though she has prior experience, because she did this for free at one time. She's currently at 15. I was proposing to take, well, let's say annual 31,200. I was proposing to take her to 31,668. But that is certainly up to council to decide.
I think with the fact that a number of the council members, including myself, got 6% basically from the government, I think the increase should be at least 6%.
Where'd you get 6? Oh, because you're on Social
Old people,
Security?
yeah.
You get 6%?
You got a 6% increase. Did you not know that?
No,
Yeah.
I'm worried about.
5.9 technically.
Medicare is gonna take it.
What do you want to propose what?
6%.
6%?
What does that bring it to?
Hold on.
She's doing it.
That would take her to 33,072.
I'll go for that.
33,072. And divide that.
Charlotte's got lunch tomorrow.
Okay, that would take her from 15 an hour to 15.90 an hour.
So what is it?
Gonna make it even 16.
33, what?
33,072.
I move that we approve
062.
33,062 for Charlotte Rabe.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderman Crickmer to change the annual salary rate for Charlotte Rabe to be $33,062. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Jane, that's yours.
We don't have an
James.
LLC.
That is unanimous.
do we? We never got an LLC, did we?
Yeah, we did. We just hired the animal control.
Animal control? That's Dalton. He just started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was last meeting.
Yeah, we hired him last.
I know, it was only 2 weeks ago, but.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
with
happy
that
to
being
continue.
said, it is 9:24 and we will adjourn this meeting and thank you everyone for joining us.